The opening episode of Tulsa King Season 3 brought back Dwight Manfredi with a whirlwind of chaos, betrayal, and uneasy alliances. From Muso's stranglehold to Jeremiah's ruthless strike against Theo Montague, it's clear that peace will never find its way to Tulsa. Episode 1 left us with smoldering ruins and simmering grudges, setting the stage for even bigger conflicts, while fans are already buzzing with theories about what comes next. Let's dive into what we might expect from the second chapter of this turbulent new season. One of the most explosive developments in Episode 1 was Jeremiah's cold-blooded murder of Theo and the destruction of the Montague estate. This wasn't just a power move, but a declaration of war. Jeremiah effectively marked Dwight as his rival by snatching away an opportunity Dwight had been carefully circling. Now Dwight has personal stakes in the conflict. Theo's death won't sit well with him, especially since he was trying to secure a fair deal that could have benefited both sides. Episode 2 may push Dwight into retaliatory mode, but the question is how far Muso will let him go. With the FBI agent pulling the strings, Dwight's hands are tied. Muso could cut him off or use it as leverage to tighten the leash if he strikes back too hard. If he does nothing, though, Jeremiah strengthens and solidifies his hold on Tulsa. Viewers can expect Episode 2 to explore Dwight's tightrope walk, testing how much violence he can unleash while still playing the FBI's game. Bodie's frustration boiled over in Episode 1, leading to his reckless assault on one of Bill's men during the cash drop. Dwight brushed it off as an outburst of grief, but it's clear that Bodie's patience is wearing thin. His anger toward Bill for Jimmy's death and toward Dwight for partnering with the man responsible has planted the seeds of rebellion. Episode 2 might see Bodie drifting further away from Dwight's leadership. Could Jeremiah be the outlet for his anger? It's not hard to imagine Bodie feeling overlooked and exploited, making a deal with Dwight's newest enemy. If that happens, Dwight won't just be facing an outside threat. He'll be fighting a betrayal from within his circle. Fans may see hints of this growing fracture in Episode 2, especially if Bodie takes another step out of line. Dwight tried to push Margaret away in Episode 1, fearing that Muso and Jeremiah's looming battles would put her in danger. But Margaret refused to leave him, choosing loyalty over safety. This decision will almost certainly place her in the crosshairs moving forward. Episode 2 could explore just how dangerous her proximity to Dwight has become. Will Jeremiah target her as leverage? Will Muso use her as a pressure point to control Dwight? Either way, Margaret's presence in Dwight's life is no longer just personal. It's a potential liability that could shape the direction of the story. Expect Episode 2 to foreshadow the risks she's now exposed to and perhaps even hint at a tragic twist if her loyalty costs her dearly. Episode 1 also introduced Ray, who tried to lure Dwight back into the New York crime scene by dangling territory and legacy in front of him. When Dwight refused, Ray made it clear that threats weren't off the table. He even mentioned Dwight's grandchildren as pawns in his plan. In Episode 2, Ray may make good on those threats, putting Dwight in an impossible bind. Fighting Jeremiah in Tulsa while fending off Ray's reach in New York could stretch Dwight too thin, forcing him to prioritize one war over the other. Alternatively, Ray might attempt to partner with Jeremiah, forming a dangerous alliance that could corner Dwight from both sides. If Episode 1 was about setting the chessboard, Episode 2 might start moving those pieces into deadly alignments. Muso remains one of the most unpredictable forces in Dwight's life. His terms are deliberately vague. Dwight is supposed to do whatever Muso asks without clear boundaries. That ambiguity leaves plenty of room for betrayal. Episode 2 might shed light on what Muso really wants. Is he grooming Dwight to take down Jeremiah, or is he simply using him as a pawn to eliminate rival crime families across the board? There's also the lingering question of how much Muso actually knows. At the end of Episode 1, he seemed oddly aware of Dwight's talks with the Montagues, suggesting someone close to Dwight might already be feeding him information. Episode 2 could finally reveal whether Muso has a mole in Dwight's crew, and if so, who it might be. Mitch seemed hopeful when Cleo re-entered his life, and their shared history could blossom into something deeper if the distillery plan had worked out. But Theo's death changes everything. Jeremiah has claimed the Montague estate through blood and fire, leaving Mitch and Cleo caught in the fallout. Episode 2 may show Mitch rallying behind Dwight, using Cleo as motivation and emotional anchor, but it could also highlight Cleo's grief and anger, possibly turning her into a more active player in the brewing war. Will she demand vengeance for her father? If so, Dwight may gain a fierce ally and another person to protect in an already perilous battle. Given the way Episode 1 escalated, Episode 2 might end with a violent clash that officially kicks off the Dwight-Jeremiah war. A drive-by attack on Dwight's crew, a targeted strike on Margaret, or a betrayal inside his circle could be the spark. Alternatively, the episode could close with Muso laying down his first major demand, forcing Dwight to choose between obedience to the FBI or loyalty to his people. Whatever direction it takes, Episode 2 is almost certain to deepen the fractures we saw forming in the premiere. Dwight's empire is expanding, but so are the enemies circling it. If Episode 1 was the warning shot, Episode 2 may very well be the first explosion in what promises to be the season's central war. The strength of Tulsa King has always been its ability to mix classic mob drama with unexpected twists, and Season 3 looks ready to double down on that formula. With Jeremiah stepping up as a ruthless new villain, Muso holding the leash, Ray waiting in the shadows, and Body possibly on the verge of betrayal, Dwight is surrounded by storms. Episode 2 will likely test not only his power, but also his judgment. How much blood is he willing to spill to protect his empire? How far will he bend to Muso's demands before he breaks? And can he trust among his allies?